So it's mid-May 2024 here in Japan, and that means another summer climbing season of Mount Fuji is upon us very soon. But if you've been following the travel news about Japan in 2024, you know over tourism is kind of the big buzzword, and Mount Fuji is no exception. So for this year, 2024, again, there are going to be some big new rules in place for climbing Mount Fuji that you'll definitely need to be aware of if you're looking to climb Mount Fuji during your trip to Japan. So let's go really quick to the official guidelines from the most popular uh, climbing start station for Mount Fuji, the Yoshida Trail in Yamanashi Prefecture. So you can see here there are a lot of new rules in place for this year, at least for the foreseeable future. One of the big ones here is that there's going to be restricted access going forward. So there's basically going to be a gate at the start of the Yoshida Trail going up Mount Fuji. You won't be able to pass through from 4 p.m. until 3 a.m. the next morning. That is to eliminate a lot of what they call bullet climbing. Basically, you climb overnight in the darkness to try and catch Mount Fuji at the sunrise. Of course, it's beautiful up there, and they want you to do that, do the sunrise climb, but they really want you to actually use the mountain huts along the way, spend the night, as opposed to doing it from say 8 9 p.m. at night and trying to get up to the top in one shot. They want you to take a break along the way, so that's why they have the restriction from 4 p.m. to 3 a.m. For the start of the Yoshida Trail. Also, you can see there's going to be a limit on how many people can climb per day. That's not a hard limit, and I'll tell you some reasons why you can get around that in a little bit. But theoretically, yes, they're going to limit at least for non-mountain hut reservation climbers 4,000 per day. And there's an important thing about that number that I'll tell you again later on in the video. But they're going to try and limit the number of people on the trail to 4,000 a day to prevent overcrowding. There have been some issues of overcrowding, especially in recent years with a lot of increase in foreign tourism. They're trying to keep the trails clear, keep a lot of crowding down, and help people get up and down easily from the mountain. So 4,000 a day is a big number you need to look forward look at. You can see there, the second row, the second warning is those with mountain hut reservations may pass through the gate during restricted hours. So if you did reserve a mountain hut rest house along the way to the top of Mount Fuji, between the Yoshida Trail and the top, you are allowed to go in past 4 p.m. They still recommend you go before the 4 p.m. close time, but if you have proof of reservation of a mountain hut along the way, you are allowed to pass through the gate after 4 p.m. To get to your reservation, to get to your hut, basically. So there is one way to get around that. And from what I've been gathering, it looks like also that max 4,000 I just mentioned, if you do have a mountain hut reservation, and say they've reached the 4,000 of the non-mountain hut travelers, climbers per day, you are still allowed to go through. So that mountain hut reservation still kind of guarantees you entry for that day up the mountain. So it's good on you preparing a little space for you to rest. So you're not really worried about that max 4,000 per day. Now, in addition, it is now going to cost money to climb Mount Fuji. You can see the bottom there. Previously, there was just on the right side to see the donation there. There was just a suggested donation if you climb Mount Fuji of 1,000 yen to help, upkeep, keep Mount Fuji beautiful. But in recent years, there has been an increase in a lot of, rescue services and staff to maintain Mount Fuji for all the travelers. So they're now introducing a facility usage hiking fee of 2,000 yen. That's going to be charged to everyone. That is a compulsory fee. So even if you have a mountain hut reservation, you're going to have to pay the 2,000 fee on top of your hut reservation. It's not included in the rest house reservation you're going to make. So it is no longer free to climb Mount Fuji. You're looking at least 2,000, 3,000 if you're feeling generous, and I do suggest you drop 1,000. It's a beautiful mountain. Let's keep it that way. But it is not free to climb Mount Fuji anymore. That's a big thing here. So looking at the quick map of the Mount Fuji, this is the Yoshida Trail 5th station, they call it. It's 5th because it's technically a little bit up the mountain. You're not going from the ground level. You're kind of not halfway per se, but the 5th station up there is going to be an entry gate there checking people, basically checking if you paid the fee. So if you've paid the fee, you will get a wristband that says that, and you'll be able to go through. No wristband means no entry, so make sure you have the wristband on you when you're trying to go through to start the Yoshida Trail. Now, going to the official website proper, what was announced just yesterday here in Japan is there is going to be a reservation system for you to climb Mount Fuji. So, like reserving tickets for Disneyland or maybe for a really popular animal cafe or Shibuya Sky, you're also going to have to book a spot to climb Mount Fuji. So the site is not open yet for reservations. It'll be on the official website, and I'll put a link to the official Fujisan website in the video description and comments. But on Monday, May 2024, starting from 10 a.m. local time here in Japan, they're going to open up reservations for those who want to use the Yoshida Trail to climb Mount Fuji. No, look, we don't know how the site's going to look, but I assume it's going to ask for stuff like name, date, and you will have to pay, I believe, on reservation. Again, going back to the info page, the 2,000 and 1,000 again if you're feeling generous. And this is going to count. The people who use this reservation spot is going to site is going to count towards the 4,000 a day. So what I've been reading on some Japanese websites is of that 4,000 non-mountain hut climbers, 3,000 will be for reservation spots. So you've got 3,000 reservation spots a day to climb Mount Fuji, and then 1,000 of the 4,000 per day will be reserved for people who show up without a prior reservation. So if for some reason you didn't get a reservation for your day, or it's full up for you, can take a risk, go to Mount Fuji the day of, and hope to get one of those 1,000 day of spots. But again, as you know, looking again on the clock, the days will start from 3 a.m. So you're looking to try and get into Mount Fuji pretty early if you want a day of spots. So it is going to probably be highly recommended you go to the official Fuji Mountain website and reserve a spot for the Yoshida Trail. Some other things to note is that while you can cancel a reservation, there are no refunds. The only refund you'll get is in case of the prefecture closing the trail due to weather or what have you. But if you cancel it, no refund. If you need to change, no refund. So make sure you're pretty sure about what date you want to climb Fuji as much as possible. And again, if you do have a mountain hut reservation, you're still going to pay the 2,000 yen. So they do recommend you use the website to reserve a spot, even if you do have a mountain hut reservation, because you'll be able to kind of skip the line. Basically, the people who pay at the gate, if you have a prior reservation ahead of time, you just go ahead and probably scan a QR code and walk on through. So it's kind of a priority line. No need to wait in the big line for people. But they're saying it should be able to take credit card or cashless payments, but they still, in case of really bad weather, recommend bringing cash. If they can't scan your card or your QR code at the entry gate, go ahead and make sure you have cash on hand. So there are some ways you can still climb Mount Fuji for free or get around this limit. If you go to the map of Mount Fuji proper, Mount Fuji being the center here, you see the Yoshida Trail over here on the top left. That's in the Yamanashi side of things. Shizuoka Prefecture is the other prefecture that has Mount Fuji, and they have 3 stations you can see here: Subashiri, Gotemba, and Fujinomiya. They're far less popular. They don't have as many services as the Yoshida Trail, so they're less popular for that reason. But the Shizuoka, the 3 stations, at least for this year, they're keeping an eye on the Yamanashi side of things and see how it goes. But for this year, there are no restrictions on numbers and no compulsory fees. They ask for donations as usual, but you don't have to pay for those trails if you don't want to, the other 3 ones. But they're not the most popular. If you go to the website and look at the information about the 3 trails, the Shizuoka ones are on the 3 left here. The main thing is here, you can see not as many mountain huts, many for the Yoshida Trail, not as many for the other 3 trails. Not as crowded, that's good news. But also, for example, for the Subashiri Trail and Gotemba Trail, no first aid stations, only 1 on the Fujinomiya Trail. But the numbers are much lower. As you look at last year's numbers, $137,000 for the popular Yoshida Trail, which does have the limits and the cost and the fees now, but $19,000 for Subashiri, $15,000 for Gotemba, $49,000 for Fujinomiya. So right now, it's only the most popular trail that has fees and limits on numbers. So you can still, at least for this year, get a free trip up Fuji or avoid the limits on numbers if you go to the other 3 trails. But you have to figure out transportation. They're not as easy to get there for public transportation. You might try and get a rental car and what have you for those ones. So that's a lot of info for the upcoming travel season. Again, a quick look again one more time at the restrictions here. Again, the big highlights for this video I want to point out: restrictions on entry time, limits per day, really big pushing of mountain hut usage for the Yoshida Trail, not free to climb Mount Fuji anymore. And you're going to have to reserve a spot if possible. Again, the system goes live May 20, and then I believe the climbing season this year is from July 1st to September 10. So if Fuji is in the mix for you this upcoming year, make sure to keep an eye on the website. I'll put the link again in the video description and comments, and get your spot early. So if you found this video to be helpful, I'd really appreciate a like, a subscription to the channel. Again, I'm going to try and put up more great Japan tourism travel videos to help you while you're visiting the country. And maybe we'll do a follow-up video at some point to see how the reservation system is going for Mount Fuji. So thanks as always for listening. Leave any comments you've got, any questions you might have about climbing Mount Fuji. I'll try my best to answer them for you. And I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.